YouTube. You already know, Big Lou tapping back in one more again. Well, what it do? With Big LFGR2, baby. Bye. Excuse me. So check it out. If you can tell from that thumbnail, that's Bill Mayer. I might not be pronouncing it right. Bill Mayer, comedian. Used to be a comedian, or he's still a comedian, and he does. I think he has a show on HBO or Showtime or something, and now he has a podcast, and you know, you hear about him a lot. Him and John Stewart, all right. Different guys, on different missions, on different, they're more on the left, on the liberal side. Um, and he had Michael Francis on, right? Okay. So Michael Francis says that he met him one time at a movie theater in California, and it was just a real quick da-da-da. But Michael wanted to meet him and come on, and discuss with him because he likes how, Bill Mayer, talks bad about Democrats at times, right? And he's not talking bad about the Democrats in like because he don't like them or hates them. He's talking bad about them or towards them because he wants them to do better in their messaging and some of the things that they make priority, and stuff like that. So Michael's like all for that because Michael's straight full of crap, right? Um, and it really shows when it really shows how tainted his ideology is and how terrible and garbage it is when he starts trying to speak and trying to you know uh, put his point across when it comes to politics. And so, anyways, while they're talking, he brings up the book, his book, American Democracy, right? Oh, my book. And so he says, "Well, tell me about the book." He brings Bill Mayer a signed copy. He brought him some wine, some of his Michael Francis wine. People shouldn't even be buying shit from Michael Francis, from his pizza joints to his wine. None of that shit, right? Should be buying from him. He should be considered McDonald's, Target, and Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I'll get to the reason why. So, anyways, Bill Maher starts, he's curious about the book. What's it about? Well, Bill, he starts out, well, Bill, our government is they roll like gangsters and this and that. And he goes, yeah, well, yeah, I can, he goes, I can kind of agree with that, but give me an example. And he says, well, the power. He said, well, give me an example though. And he's like, well, like they get the money, the power. And he says, but give me an example. How you gonna? So he asked him like 3 times for sure, and it might have been 4 times, maybe even 5 times. He's asking Michael Francis, give him an example of your book. Give me an example of things you have within your book about why you're saying, you know, uh, the government is corrupt and or give me the situations. It's got to be certain situations. And Michael ends up saying, no, he just saying it, and it's basically a book in a general sense of them being corrupt. And of course, here he goes to this is their go-to all the time. Oh, well, Nancy Pelosi, da da da. Nancy Pelosi and her inside trading and da da da. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, dude, really? I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, she's done it, right? But they do it all on both sides. They do it on both sides, right? Look what happened when those the Georgia Republican senators before Warnock and John Ossoff got in there. I don't know if it was both of them, which I kind of think it was, but it was for sure the man senator. He sold all his stocks from his PPE stocks. And if you guys don't know what the PPE is, that's your personal protection equipment, right? Your mask, the thing that comes down, gowns, gloves, all that stuff. The little things that go over your shoes, all that type of stuff, right? That's considered PPE, you know, and this is stuff that these people do, right? This is why it scares them to death when they get threatened about if you don't go along with Trump's policies, in both chambers of Congress. If you're a Republican, that we'll make sure to see that you'll be primaried, right? And so they're scared to death. They don't want to go against that. Oh, what is that? So they don't want to go against that, right? Because Just think about it. You got some of these guys been senators like Chuck Grassley. He's almost 90 years old, or is 90 years old. He's been a senator for 3 or 4 decades. You know what I'm saying? Lindsey Graham, he was in Congress, then he went to the Senate, right? So they're getting $100 to $150,000 a year, right? They get to travel all over the world on the taxpayer dollars, right? Checking out the scene in Israel, checking out the scene in the in Brussels, going to the German Security Council, going to the G7 summit, going to this, going to that, going to Helsinki, going to wherever else, the Philippines, and they get to go all nonstop traveling free of charge off the taxpayer dollar, right? And a lot of these people in their prior careers, they bought their homes and all that. So a lot of them decent homes. Some of them, like Joe Biden, I believe, he kept his childhood house, and so how much could you have really owed on that house? Probably nothing. He probably outright owned it for when he first came into the Senate in '73 or whatever that year was. Um, so these guys are making $150,000 a year. How much you think of that 150,000 they're saving? Depending on their lifestyle, as far as cars and clothing and jewelry and all that type of stuff, which none of them really look like they're wearing, Burgundy suits and Rolex watches and Cuban link chains and what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. Come on, man. And so how much of that 150,000 are they saving every year? You know what I'm saying? Just say they save a third of that a year. 50,000, right? A third of that, right? Which is 50,000. They in 10 years, they got $500,000 in 10 years. 20 years, they got 1 million, right? 30 years, they got 1.5 million. You know what I'm saying? And then you add in the inside trading because they got knowledge of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's the shit. Michael Francis always goes to that. Nancy Pelosi, that's the Nancy Pelosi this, Nancy Pelosi that, which is more of the reason why they should have limit. First, they need to get the lobbyist money out of it, right? The pharmaceutical companies, the oil and gas, the tech bros now. They need to get all that money out of politics, right? Because that's where the corruption comes in, right? APEC, they give money to both sides, Democrats and Republicans. Some politicians, that's the biggest money that they get is from APEC, right? Which is I'm not sure exactly, but it's a Jewish organization or whatever, and they give money to both sides. You know what I mean? So get all that money out of there, right? These people should be having term limits. Um, there's no way in hell you're going to tell me that somebody's been in office for 40 plus years is going to be with the times. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know what the term limit should be. If it maybe it could be 12-year terms, uh, a total of 12-year terms, a total of 16-year terms, or a total of 20 years. But even if it was 20, which sounds like a lot, it's only half of what some of these guys have done, like Durbin, Leahy, Grassley. Orrin Hatch is gone now and then passed away, but these guys had decades in the Senate. You know what I'm saying? A ton of time in the Senate. So if you were to break it down into 20-year max terms total, that would still alleviate a lot, right? And it'll help our 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 it would help a lot with our elected officials to be more in tune with what's going on and understand what people are going through, right? So anyways, get back to the little debate, the little talk they had or whatever. So Mayor finally tells him, he says, man, you can't give me an example. He goes, you're making all these, you're saying what you're saying and you can't even give me an example, right? And so Michael tells him too that, oh, I love how you go after the Democrats and this and that. And then he tells him that he voted for Kamala. And he says, oh, but Bill, and I've heard Mike Francis say this many a times. She's so incompetent. She can't even answer a question. Again, like what I said in the video last night, if you hear these people talking about what the other side is doing, their political opponents are doing, it's what they're saying they're doing is really what they're doing, right? Because the whole campaign thing, Trump never ever answered a question. Every time people would get up and ask him a question, he would go on this long rant or long just nothing but gibberish bullcrap and not even touch the subject, or whatever he did answer with made no sense to provide an answer, right? He did that the whole way through, right? Anytime they asked him about how we're going to pay for this or that, or how we're going to lower the cost for this or that, it was drill, baby, drill. And it's like, under Biden was the first time that they were self-sufficient with oil, their own oil and gas, right? They drilled more than ever before, you know what I'm saying, in the United States. What the problem is that people ain't seeming to understand is that gas and oil and gas is became an international, uh, business. You know what I'm saying? And that partly is why the money is going. Gas, the amount for gas is going up right now. So here in California, it's about 2-3 weeks ago, it skyrocketed and went up about 60 to 70 cents. It went up per gallon, right? And then it made a little drop. It went back down about 40 cents, right? Um, and you kept hearing these people, oh, when Biden, the gas skyrocketed. The gas was no different here in California when Trump was president and when Biden was president, right? It's always been like, it's always goes up and down between like anywhere from 40 to 80 cents. There's a swing and it'll go up and it'll come down. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so that's what happened with that. But Michael will go on and oh, she can't even answer a question. Joe Biden destroyed this country. How the hell did Joe Biden destroy this country when he helped bring it back after the pandemic, after Donald Trump ran us in the dirt, right? With his shitty leadership, right? The dude is not a leader. He proves it all the time. He's a shitty ass leader. And I don't see, and I said this in last night's video too. I'm not going to tell people, oh, well, we told you, you dumbasses. I don't feel that that's the right tone to take or the right way to say it. But, you know, at the end of the day, people were warned, and even on top of that, you don't have to take their word for it. But when you're hearing this side, these people saying one thing, and you're hearing the Orange Comment and all his cronies and maggots saying it something totally opposite and outlandish shit too, like, oh, Democrats uh have allow abortions after the eighth month, even the ninth month, even after the baby's born, and then they just put the baby to the side and the doctor and the woman will decide what they're gonna do with the baby. Like, I mean, come on, straight lying, man, straight lying. You know what I'm saying? And all this other stuff too, transgender, and it's all the percentage is so small when it comes to that. And another thing, it's nobody's business, right? It's nobody's business if they want to have a same sex relationship with somebody, or if a man feels like he's a woman or a woman feels like they're a man. That's their business, right? Okay, if you want to come with this stuff that, oh well, it's demonic and da da da, and God has said this. Well, that's why I'm saying it. It's none of your business. It's that person's business with God, and if God can, it's on them. Whatever, however they handle it. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that Christianity, that God and that's still not their his creation. They're his kids, right? And on top of that, there's no way in hell you're going to tell me that because they live their life a certain way that they're a second class citizen. They're still citizens. You know what I'm saying? So is that woke? I guess that's being woke, right? Partly being woke. That word sounds so stupid. Um, it just sounds stupid. And then when you ask them, well, what is woke? They can't even tell you the answer. Somehow, it's just ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. Um, So, anyways, that was one thing. Then Francis goes on talking about, oh, Joe Biden is so corrupt and da da da, and I fought five. I've been arrested 7 times. I fought 5 RICOs. If anybody knows the RICO statute, it's me. And I had, when I was doing my gas business, with robbing the government of the taxes of the gas. I had shell companies all over the place. There's no basically it's just a name. There's no employees. There's no revenue. going in and out. I forgot what they call it. You know, um, it's all it's all what you call it. What's that word? Basically like gains cap like illegal gains. Basically, it's another word. It's similar to that, right? And it's like, come on, man. If they found out that he had shell companies, because they ran committees on this and investigations on Biden for 2 years, right? Since they came into power in the 117 Congress, which they did nothing for. They did nothing that whole 2 years before this last election, and Marjorie Taylor Greene got the nerve to get up there and say that federal employees don't deserve a paycheck. Well, you guys were in power and you guys passed nothing. A whole Congress session. Like they passed like 30 bills and things that were like, most of them were like renaming a post office, naming this, naming that. They didn't do anything for the American people. That's for sure, right? Compared to the Congress before that the Democrats ran, they signed in over a few hundred bills and resolutions. You know what I'm saying? It's night and day. These Republicans don't know how to govern. Um, it's just a joke, right? And so this Michael Francis, because I heard him say the other day in his latest video that he's not perfect. Of course not. Nobody's perfect. Laws are not perfect. Bills are not perfect. Senate bills, you know, House resolution bills. Everything's not perfect, right? Like the DEI, like I said yesterday, it's not perfect. The ACA wasn't perfect. There's things they can tweak on it, but these people just want to dismantle it. And so anyways, he starts getting a little, not crazy or not, but he gets a little where the old him comes out and just don't make sense what he's saying. So he starts saying that, what I didn't finish that part was that the Republicans with Comer and Jordan leading their respectable committees investigated President Biden for just about 2 years, right? And damn well if they found some stuff like that, they would have for sure impeached him. You know what I mean? For sure. So it's just straight bullshit. Michael Francis too is like he don't have no problems spewing bullshit that he heard from the right wing, one of their channels, like Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson, and what's the one dude's name? Tim Pool, I think his name is. These type of people, right? He has no problem repeating stuff that ain't true, and he says it like it's gospel. You know what I'm saying? So another thing is that this guy, I've seen him. He didn't say this in this interview with Bill Maher, but I've seen him say it a few other times. How he gets really angry and blames it on Joe Biden that the daughter's boyfriend took a pill and died in his house because it was laced with something, right? And it's like, dude, I mean, come on, man. Stuff gets busted all the time coming through the border. You know what I'm saying? The main border. Most of this stuff comes through the border. The entries, the border entries, right? They don't be having people hike through the desert. That's not, I mean, yeah, that sure happens, but it's not like that. It's not prevalent like that. I mean, because how much can you really carry? I mean, you're talking about carrying 20 pounds? Okay, we'll say 40 pounds in a backpack. Where are they going to put water at? Where are they going to put snacks at? That's a long ways to go. And you're packing 40 pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? To have to go through the desert and all that, and a long hike, a long journey into the U.S. When you can have a truckload come in, and have, you know, 200 keys, whatever, 400 keys or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't. It's real life stupidity by this guy and these people. You know what I mean? Hold on. Somebody walking by. Anyways, so the funny. It's not funny, but I've been watching documentaries and stuff, and they start in different parts of the country, United States. They'll say that the problem started with that man-made stuff that comes from China that it started being known or seen around, I think, 2014, 2015, 2016, around there. So the tail end of Obama, for sure, Trump, when he was in, you know what I mean? So they're getting this stuff, right? It's coming in on Trump's watch, so to sit there and say, well, Biden, it's like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You're not keeping it real. You're lying for your guy, you know. And when I didn't say this was about when he's talking about how how he's talking about how Brian uh Biden's corrupt and this and that. No, no, Michael Francis. No, Donald Dump is corrupt. Always been corrupt from the very beginning. He's corrupt, right? He's corrupt. He went out corrupt. He came back. He came in corrupt. He went out corrupt, and he's back corrupt. You did a video calling him, oh, he's the not modern day Teflon Don. Okay, well, the same way that once everybody found out that Sammy bought off jurors, you know, oh, well, that's how he got off. Gotti, right? Difference is here is that the Supreme Court ruled in his favor, not by law. They ruled in his favor by their self ideology, right? Because there's no way what this guy has done, right? And yet I've never heard you condone him at all. Even when Bill Maher said that, man, this guy had fake electors, and you said nothing, nothing. You stood quiet, right? This guy was all involved with his people in conspiracies to overthrow the government, to sabotage the the transfer of power when his vice president went down there to the Hill, you know, to oversee the ceremony, right? And his vice president at that time, Mike Pence, I heard this somewhere else that his son, who was in the military, spoke truth to him, and it came to fruition that he wasn't gonna put Trump over the Constitution. And that's the problem with this Republican Party, that they put man over Constitution, man over party over man, or no, say man over Constitution, man over right or wrong, man over everything. You see how they acted yesterday. Standing and applaud on everything he says, everything he does, everything. That's weird. Nobody is going to agree with everybody. I mean, nobody's going to agree with somebody 100% of the time, all the time. But that's what we get over here in the Republican Party. They won't even stand up for their constituents, right? It's a damn shame. But anyways, back to Francis. So, Francis he's just full of shit, right? Um, that 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 racketeerism that he's had, because he says he's a racketeer, or he was a racketeer. Wasn't really the gangster type like the Sammy the Bull or the Greg Scarpa. I'm pretty sure Michael did something, right? I'm pretty sure he was involved with something, did something, but that's beside the point, right? We're talking about here and now. He's another, in my opinion, he's a grifter. He's a grift too, right? And he's a con man as well, because I don't want to hear from these people all these scriptures and speak like Christianity is an American, a United States religion. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not. You know, and if you really were going to be, speaking scripture, a mouthful of scripture, but a heart full of hate, right? At the end of the day, and when it's all said and done, and they show it to us every time. They're not about families. They're not about pro-life, because if they were about families, things that were going to help families out, they would pass no problem, bipartisan. They don't, right? For the military, they don't. They won't pass stuff, right? Uh, also, the cuts they want to make, that's going to take away a lot of uh, like convalescent homes, some retirement homes, and hospitals, right? What they're doing is it's gonna hurt so many people. So it's not putting America first. It's putting Americans first that are billionaires, right? That's what they're doing, right? Um, and Michael Francis is all with it because Michael Francis, he's not a, he's not a big time rich guy. I mean, he's living nice. I mean, what I mean by that is that he's not a billionaire or even close to a billionaire. He might be worth, he might be worth $80 million, $100 million. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he had money put away from way back when. Um, at some point. Um, but nonetheless, he still would be, you know, considered top 1%, part of me in the top 1% if he's worth $100 million. You know what I'm saying? Um, so he'll benefit from tax cuts, and that's the thing with these people right now. They're going to be able to write off their yachts, their their beach houses, everything they'll be able to write off. And a lot of times, like Jeff Bezos, Amazon, they don't even pay taxes now. You know what I mean? They don't even pay taxes now. So it's just a trip how Michael Francis, he's straight up. And then that's the thing too. Well, I don't really like, he's one of those guys. I'm not saying I really like Trump, but I like his policies. What policies? What policies? And this is during the campaign. During the campaign. Or I'd ask people, what did he do for the American people, right? And most of them, they can't even give you an answer, or they'll say this, oh, he secured the border. You know what I'm saying? When he raised the debt $8 trillion. No presidents came even close to that. Um, he put a Muslim ban in place. He started ripping families apart. He started putting kids in cages away from their parents and had other kids change the younger kids, right? Um, it's all a bunch of bullshit with these guys, man. You know, and these Latinos that come from Venezuela or Cuba or Nicaragua, especially the ones that in the late '50s when Castro first came back and took over power there. These people, we socialism, communist, and they're trying to say the Democrats are socialists and communists. Fucking, their minds are so twisted. Um, you know what I mean? But they escaped countries that was stuff bad was going on over there. Same thing with the Sicilians and Italians back in the day with the fascism. They left from over there and came here, and they weren't even considered white after a while. I mean, it took a while, right? And now they're all like they all forget where they came from. They all forget that their parents and grandparents, excuse me, and great grandparents were treated terribly by the Irish and the Scottish and the English people. When they first came over here. The Italians and Sicilians were the first brown menace, right? These guys had darker hair. You know what I mean? Some of them were darker skinned, especially the ones from Sicily. You know, partly the reason why northern Italy and mainland Italy discriminate against the Sicilians because the Sicilians uh, had been conquered by so many different groups. You know, especially the Moors, right? So that's why they have a little different look. They say at times darker hair, darker skin color, whatever. But it's just a trip how people forget, and they think their shit don't stink. They think that they're just so righteous. What I'm saying? They're doing the right thing for their country and da da da. Has anybody noticed all the racist talk going on? How people are just minding their own business and people are, talking shit to them, um, calling them beaners and just ugly negative shit, right? And one lady wrote down stuff on a receipt at the Mexican restaurant in Ohio, I think it was. It's just all a bunch of ugly shit going on, man. And this shit's going on and so much since 2016 because of this orange carnival clown in the White House. You know what I mean? People feel that they're entitled to talk about people or talk towards people that way. It's a trip, right? And Michael don't say anything about any of that. But he's Christian. You know, just like these other Christians and Republicans, they'll sit there and right to your face and lie to you, you know, and act like you didn't just hear what you heard or seen what you just seen. You know what I'm saying? And they don't call none of it out. Because at the end of the day, I'll say it. I don't give a shit. They're only Christians. You know how they call them rhinos? Republicans in name only. Well, it's the same shit with calling yourself a Christian and your faith and this and that. It's only in name only words. It's not action. You know what I'm saying? It's not action because if it was action, you'd be standing up for your constituents and your and you know from your district or your state and speaking out against things and standing up for them because what's going on is not right. You know what I'm saying? You don't just start firing a bunch of people and holding back funds that already have been appropriated from Congress. Congress holds the purse, not the president. You know what I'm saying? And this is what's going on. And today there was the Supreme Court weighed in, and it was a 5-4 decision to get the funds that are the $2 billion, get it on track to get stuff paid because these people already have word for that money. You know what I'm saying? So how can it be a 5-4? How can it be a 5-4 court instead of being 9-0, right? When the Constitution says that the power of the purse belongs to Congress. They're the ones that appropriate where money, which money goes where. You know what I mean? So it's all a joke. And this guy Francis just rolls with it. You know, he talks about he's all about law and order now because he changed his life. Well, the guy at the top is breaking the law all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's his big fucking mouth that he can never shut because he's always bragging about himself that he gets caught on tape saying shit. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. He's over showing Army secrets to somebody that was writing a book about his chief of staff, Mark Meadows. And he says, "Hey, look at this. The General Milley gave me this. You know, he even says it that I could have declassified it when I was president. Now I'm not president anymore. So he already knows right there he's breaking not only protocol, he's breaking laws by showing somebody that don't have a security clearance, right? Top secret stuff, right? And then a guy that worked for him said that there was an Australian businessman that's a member at his Mar-a-Lago golf course, and he was in the way the limo or whatever the guy was driving to take him to the airport to go back to Australia. He tells him that he was showing him some of those military things too. You know, well, anybody else does that shit, they get 20 years, 25 years, 15, 20 years, 25 years, you know, for espionage, for treason, right? But not the yellow, not the orange con of a clown. He just gets away with anything because he's the president, but he's really wants to be the king. And then you got these Supreme Courts just allowing him to get absolute immunity. You know, what did Michael say about any of that? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So Michael don't keep nothing real. He tries to act like he's a sincere, righteous dude, but he's just full of shit. Because even in his when he tries to defend himself about being a rat, he says, "I ain't hurt nobody. That shit don't matter. You gave information. It don't matter if you got on the stand and testified. But you did get on the stand. You got on the stand more than once. You got on the stand with Norby Walters, and you got on the stand with that about that girl that worked for you, boyfriend, and you testified in front of Congress, which you have to swear under oath, right? And I know you say it's only a pony show or a horse and buggy show or whatever he says, right? But we know that people, if they lie under oath, they go to jail. We know that. So that's another weak ass excuse that you try to make it. You downplay what you did, right? Um, and that's I guess neither here or there, but it just shows that you're willing to bend the truth in order to make yourself look a little better, right? And so if you'll do that about that, you'll do it about anything, and that's what we see. But from this guy, you know, it's just and then his wife is Mexican, right? I'm 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 I'm, I'm assuming that she's born here, L.A., Orange County area. I'm not sure about her parents, but nonetheless, even if her parents are from here, then her grandparents most likely are not, right? But that could be not true either. It could be her great grandparents. Nonetheless, I wonder what kind of conversation they have, or if his wife is so brainwashed in this false Christianity that they're one of these Latino families that just roll Republican because they that's that's what they believe that the church calls for. It's you should see that pastor from North Carolina. He said there ain't no way in hell that he goes that they should be having a Bible with U.S. documents in it, like they go together like a hand in a glove. He goes that's not not even the case, and it shouldn't be. And I don't want to hear nobody tell me about it's my civil duty to vote or whatever. I forgot exactly how they put that part, but anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and tap out on this one. 36-minute video. Um, Michael Francis, like I said, he's at one point I dug his some of his stories and some of his rhetoric, but then once he started opening it up about you know just straight full of shit, and it's weird too because John A. Light, uh, uh, Dom Sakali, he's another J Cat. Uh, Mikey Scars, I believe he's a Trump supporter too, but he don't sound ridiculous like these other guys. You know, it's crazy how these dudes go for this guy. Joey Merlino, another one. You know what I'm saying? And Joey Merlino, Dom Sakali, John A. Light, even Michael Francis, they always talk about prison, how much prison time they did, and how and how they're real convicts. So if you're a real convict, how do you like dig somebody that's a freaking sexual assaulter? You know what I mean? And then they'll say, they'll make up something about that when he had all the juries that found him guilty. You know, I never say, well, the jury indicted him because that's easy. They say that saying you can indict a ham sandwich, right? The ju- it's real easy, that procedure, right? But the procedure to get up there, show the evidence, prove the evidence, and then the defense to get up and counter the evidence, and whatever, deliberate their side of the story, and then it goes to the jury's hands. Or if you guys go the other route, it's in the judge's hands, and then that jury finds you guilty, 12 people. I mean, off of evidence, you know, um, then they want to taint that. They want to try to say, "Oh, this and that," and come on, man, miss me with that shit. Especially, it's and Sakali always talks about, because his wife, he says that she was assaulted by her boss, and he says, I want Meg Kelly to be involved, and I want to go on her show, and what I'm saying, and it's like, dude, this dude that you love is with that shit. You know what I mean? Look at the two dudes he just brought. He let them come to the United States, the Tate brothers. And what's weird is that, like with Elon, these guys got multiple citizenships in multiple countries. It's like they can run whatever they want to this country now and go to that country. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's weird. I'm gonna go ahead and tap on out because it's about to be 40 minutes. I didn't expect to go this long on this video, but sometimes when you get going, it is what it is, right? I might be going live tonight. I'm not sure. With that being said, Big Lou tapping out.